What is up, everybody? To Reverse TV here today, and we have to talk about this revelation that apparently Sony is more worried about Elder Scrolls 6 than Call of Duty. So, I mean, that's kind of a hard stretch, but I kind of get it because even myself, I care more about Elder Scrolls 6 than a Call of Duty game. But Call of Duty comes out every year, every other year. So, it's a constant stream of income for whoever's buying that game, whoever's selling that game on their platform, so they get a constant source of income from that. And Elder Scrolls comes out maybe like every 15 years, maybe, I don't know. At this point, like almost every 15 to 20 years. So it's more of a big event when an Elder Scrolls game comes out because it takes so long to make these games. So I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess they would find them over third because they have a hardcore fan base, and that fan base is more than likely um, buy a console to get access to that game. So I guess that's why they're concerned. But let's see what the article has to say about this. It says, until recently, Sony has done a good job of keeping quiet on the fact that Microsoft has been gobbling up some of the biggest third-party publishers in the industry. But it finally feels like Sony is starting to feel the pressure. They should be, as they should. They didn't exactly go public and admit that they're feeling the weight of Microsoft buying up companies like Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. But in an official response to Brazil's regulatory body, everything gets exposed to this whole thing right here. It's just interesting. Sony admitting that the importance of Call of Duty is indescribable and effectively said the game is capable of single-handedly swinging the console war. Wow, they think they can lose this generation because Call of Duty is no longer associated with PlayStation. That's interesting. Yeah, that's why you kind of see why they kind of definitely fearful of Xbox or Microsoft, because I think Call of Duty is the big cash cow right there. So if they don't have a Call of Duty, they think they lost a generation pretty much. Even though Sony fanboys like to say that Sony makes these amazing exclusives, but Sony says otherwise. The actual company says otherwise. They say that Call of Duty is the big money maker, not as the big driving force, not their exclusives. So that's interesting. Call of Duty is so popular that it influences users' choice of console, and its community of loyal users is entrenched enough that its competitor has the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to rival it. Okay. Now, where they talk about Elder Scrolls? Okay, here we go. And he says the next Elder Scrolls, however, is a whole other story. The Elder Scrolls series may not be as prolific as Call of Duty, but that's part of which gives prestige and mystique. Yeah, I must say this game is definitely like it'll come out as much as Call of Duty, but this people definitely look forward to these games. It's kind of like when you see like those rare like freak occurrences where it's like you gotta wait like a certain like 25 years for like a full moon or something, like some type of weird type of natural occurrence. It's kind of like for Elder Scrolls, where it's like more of a big deal because it's like it doesn't happen that often. So the frequency which the Call of Duty games get released means that annual or biannual releases becomes almost background noise. As surely as there will be an annual FIFA release, so too there will be an almost annual Call of Duty release. The next Elder Scrolls, meanwhile, will be coming out a good 13 to 15 years after its predecessor. And part of the reason for that is because 11-year-old Skyrim has continually brought Bethesda commercial success. Yeah, I believe this was their most successful Elder Scrolls game, or at least the most mainstream one. I know a lot of people who play the older Elder Scrolls games get pissed because Skyrim was like the most popular one. And they feel like everybody else is just hopping on the bandwagon with Skyrim. Well, it's like they've been playing it before. They was playing Elder Scrolls before it got cool, basically. That's what a lot of people have vitriol for Skyrim. But as long as more people playing the franchise, I don't see what the big deal is. But, you know. Let's see. Elder Scrolls 6 may well be one of the biggest events in gaming history. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a big event. If midnight launches was a big thing again, this would definitely be a game where you'll see people lining up outside, making circles around a store just to get this purchase. But you know, physical media isn't as big as it was once before, and the midnight launches isn't a big thing like it was once before, because you can buy stuff digital. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be a big event when this releases. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has already suggested that PlayStation only owners will not be a part of it. Yep, if you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, gotta buy a PC or an Xbox. So that is that. Yeah, I mean, they should be worried about it. To be honest, I don't blame them. Elder Scrolls is a big franchise. There's a lot of people who rock with that franchise, who have a big following. So Sony should be worried about that. To be honest, but I would kind of think. I mean, I would kind of think they'd be more worried about Call of Duty. To be honest, though, but Call of Duty is still bigger, but not by much. Virtually neck to neck. Okay. Elder Scrolls is huge, but Call of Duty is on a different level. I would say Elder Scrolls is probably bigger, but it just doesn't come out as much as Call of Duty, so that's why Call of Duty gets more attention. But I think Elder Scrolls is probably just as monumental, or it's probably even more, to be honest. Uh, because you got to remember, Elder Scrolls is a single player game, which probably gets that amount of attention as a multiplayer game does. To be honest, everybody got the same amount of players playing Elder Scrolls because Elder Scrolls is insane because it definitely does insane numbers for a single player game to this day. So yeah, definitely has a huge player base to it. So um, pretty sure Skyrim still has more players than any PlayStation exclusive 11 years later, but Call of Duty is just just on a different level. Even if it's bad, people will still play. Yeah, that's the crazy thing too. People will say they're not buying Call of Duty. Call of Duty is trash, but they still sell insanely high numbers. So I don't know how trash a game can be, and you still buy it. So it's kind of interesting right there. Capping how many platforms it came out twice to sell that much. LOL is going to be dead on arrival. What is he saying? He's saying Skyrim. I don't even know what he's saying will be dead on arrival. That just makes no sense. Either way, whether he's talking about Call of Duty or Elder Scrolls, it makes no sense. That sounds like nonsense, to be honest. Elder Scrolls isn't really that popular, Sally, so not true. It's been re-released so many times. Yeah, what? That sentence just made no sense. He said Elder Scrolls isn't popular, but it's been released so many times. It's obviously been re-released because it's massively popular. Like that made no sense. Now all these comments, not all the comments are winners, people. Some of these comments just make zero sense whatsoever. Uh, I don't think, unlike the Call of Duty franchise that sells more on PlayStation, the Bethesda franchise, especially the Elder Scrolls, have always sold more on Xbox. It will be a loss felt for sure, but not as Call of Duty. You bugging? Call of Duty is way bigger at this point. That's debatable. It bothers me for sure. I can just play it on my Series S, but I prefer to play it on the PS5. Okay. I would say so, considering the age at which the Elder Scrolls game find themselves in. I love Skyrim and Oblivion as much as the next guy, but they aren't up to today's quality. They may have sat out too long to catch up. We will see, though. The two together, how a game was fucking an Xbox. Yeah, that's kind of the main point. It's like, why we have to compare which one is better when they're both gonna be associated with Xbox? It's like the day Microsoft is winning with this. So it don't make any sense to compare the both. It don't make any sense to compare the two, to be honest. Doesn't mean Sony won't get customers. Also, they have some games of their own. Okay. Xbox Game Pass will reach 100 million subscribers thanks to Activision Blizzard and cloud gaming packed their claims. People usually like to say this guy is crazy, but I don't know. Who knows at this point? Even Sony fears that Call of Duty is like whoever owns Call of Duty is the console is going to win that console generation. So who knows at this point? Who knows what people might do when Call of Duty starts to be associated with Xbox? The Game Pass subscription numbers might rise up to that high. I mean, that's a pretty large amount, but who knows at this point? Who knows? Um, Definitely not, bro. Elder Scrolls 6 isn't coming out until 2028. Not to mention that Witcher already replaced Okay. Okay. Witcher is a good franchise, but, like, knock it off. Like, you're replacing Elder Scrolls. Like, okay, buddy. Watch this game be played more on other platforms. The Game Pass still be at the Fake 25 million subscriber number. Okay. So Sony is threatened by one game? Yeah, probably not. I mean, Sony says otherwise. I mean, you say that, but Sony says otherwise. They seem pretty frightened of Call of Duty. Microsoft having association with Call of Duty. Let's see. I agree with this. I haven't touched a Call of Duty game in like 8 years, but I would 1,000% buy an Xbox for Elder Scrolls 6. It's a threat after 15 years. People are really underestimating the fan base that Elder Scrolls has, which is kind of stupid. Like, you really believe that Elder Scrolls doesn't have a huge fan base just because they don't release like every other year? I guess that's just like really. Elder Scrolls hasn't been relevant in how many years again? Oh my god. Once again with these dumb comments. Just because you don't visually see Elder Scrolls as a threat because it doesn't release as often as Call of Duty doesn't mean it's not a threat to Sony. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, do these people just not see how popular Skyrim is? Like, these are some new age. These are probably some new age gamers right here, probably, who are making these statements like, we don't need to worry about Skyrim. We don't need to worry about Elder Scrolls. That's not a popular franchise. I was like, are you been under a rock or are you just new to gaming? Like, what? But yeah, I'm gonna conclude it right here. Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be a popular franchise a popular title when that releases. People who are saying otherwise are clearly clueless. Like, I don't know. There's some new age gamers who just got into gaming because I don't know how people could just say Elder Scrolls is not that big of a deal. The next Skyrim equivalent is not gonna be that big of a deal. Like, really? But okay. But definitely want to see your thoughts down below. Do you believe that Elder Scrolls 6 is a bigger threat for Sony than Call of Duty? Because they're both going to be big contenders to make people want to buy an Xbox or get on the Xbox ecosystem. But which one do you think is a bigger threat? Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like for this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.